to you on a St. Patrick's Day Friday. Nothing better than the NCAA tournament, St. Patty's Day, KU, K-State wins, hopefully wins, and a full day of hoops coming up today. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. NCAA tournament already underway today. Michigan State and USC tied up at the half. You've got Kennesaw State and Xavier in a basically first 1 to 100 ends up winning the game. A lot of points in that one. We've got so much to get to. We're going to talk Bobcats and Wildcats, Chiefs, Jayhawks, Hogs. Oh my, we got a lot to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you're rocking your green. I got my green shirt on. Fulton does have a green shirt on underneath his hoodie. So we've got your green attire. Maybe perhaps a green beer will be ingested after the show today.
I will not be having any green beer this evening, but I will be drinking the one beer that everyone should be drinking today, and that's how we're having a couple pints of Guinness when I get home.
Oh, not Killian's Irish Red?
No.
Not any Jameson Irish whiskey?
I have no Jameson at the house at the moment. I do have Bushmills, so I do have Irish whiskey. It's just Bushmills.
Jameson, quite tasty.
Jameson's delicious. Jameson is 1B of my favorite whiskeys. It and Bushmills are 1A and 1B.
Quite. Tasty.
I love them both. But no, I will be drinking something else, but I will be enjoying an Irish beverage when I get home.
Nice. Well, we've got so much to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Would love to get your thoughts on today's show. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. We will start things off first, though, by looking at a fun first day. And folks,
yeah, it was
a 15 over a 2, a 13 over a 4, all occurred yesterday. Plus some fun matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Kentucky gave Houston all they wanted and then some for about 35 minutes.
They really did. Shout out to the Norse.
And except for at the end, they just started going in hero 3-ball mode instead of just playing hoops. But this is the third straight year a 15 has beat a 2.
It's awesome.
It's not as surprising anymore when you see a 15 beat a 2 because it's happening so much more often. And you've got the tournament run that St. Peter's has gone on and Florida Gulf Coast that went on to the Sweet 16. It's just not as earth-shattering as when Hampton beat Iowa State way back when. Marcus Pfizer and Jamal Tinsley and everybody. It's just not. And I think it's because there are better players spread out through the country. And I think the way that the game has evolved, the 3-point attempt is such a big deal. And for some reason now, I think players get a little tighter. I think yesterday when Princeton cut the lead to 4 with 5 minutes to go, Arizona they looked as though they were completely shook.
Oh, yeah. They took a right hook to the jaw and were out on their feet for the last 5 minutes. They didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't run an offensive set. They didn't run a play. It was as if they realized, oh my gosh, we're going to lose. And you've seen that now 3 years in a row. So I am not as floored as when a 15 beats a 2. Furman, I mean, you called that one. My sister-in-law sent me a text this morning, goes, how the heck did you pick Furman to win? And I said, it's very, very,
two reasons.
I go, it's an educated It's educated luck is what I said.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to put it.
It's educated luck. One, Virginia has not done well in the tournament outside of 1 year the last 5 times. Number two, they play a slow down pace, which means their margin of error is slower. And also, Furman had one of the better players on the court. Furman can shoot the ball. I go, to still pick Furman, that's an upset.
Yeah, you're still picking a thing that is not expected to happen. You're still picking the dog, but you're just looking at the numbers and the information and going, there's a good chance this can happen. It's a better than slim chance, and so it's just, and March is the time to where sometimes better than slim is what you got to pick, and it happens.
UCLA and Penn State looked very, very good last night. Houston, at the end, they got past Northern Kentucky. Tennessee won. They're big. They're physical. They have zero guard play, which is why they're not going to take care of business at all. And the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to take on KU. I have said this from the very beginning. This is not a good matchup for KU. And the reason why is Arkansas has length. Arkansas has athletes. And Arkansas goes downhill. We're going to talk with Curtis Wilkerson coming up at the bottom of the hour. Covers the Hogs for hogsports.com. And one thing that I'm going to ask him, I noticed this. How many threes did Arkansas shoot against Illinois?
14.
They shot 11. They average 13 threes a game. That's it.
They do not chuck from deep.
They don't. And that's two things. One, they get downhill. They go at you. They shoot a lot of free throws. One, that's how you are able to get points without making threes, because they don't make a lot of threes. They made 3 threes. That's it. They will not. Now, if they hit the 3, KU is in serious trouble. But the other thing is they crash the boards and they go hard down the hill and into the paint. And that's one thing that KU this year hasn't done great with, is getting downhill. Other teams getting downhill on them. This is going to be a tough matchup for KU. Arkansas they're a good team. They're ranked 20th in KenPom. To give you an idea, Auburn is ranked 29th. They're going to face Houston, so KU clearly has the tougher matchup. Arkansas has got NBA dudes, and their guards are long. In fact, their point guard might guard Jalen Wilson. That's how long they are. So, and they got some not necessarily big dudes inside, but they got long bodies inside.
Yeah, they got rim protectors
that can match up with KU. So I think this is a difficult matchup. I think of all the 1 seeds, if to me and all the 8, 9s, like Purdue's going to beat Fairleigh Dickinson. Okay. So Purdue is either going to face Memphis or FAU. We know that Houston's going to face Auburn. Auburn is the streakiest team probably in the NCAA tournament, and they showed that in the game against Iowa, where they went on an absolute buzzsaw for about 5 minutes, got up 17, and then almost crapped themselves to the point where they lost the game. Houston defensively is going to lock up Auburn. That's a bad matchup to me for Auburn. Whereas Maryland will have no chance against Alabama. Absolutely none.
Bama's going to run them out the gym.
Bama is going to take care of business. When it comes to KU, this will be the closest 1 versus 8, 1 versus 9 matchup this entire tournament, I think. I think Purdue has a great chance of winning because Purdue has a matchup that nobody really has an answer for, except for try not to let Purdue get it to them. Because if Edey gets the ball inside, it's going to be 2 points 65 to 70% of the time.
It pretty much the plan for, whether it's Memphis or FAU, whoever plays Purdue, is when you're on defense, it's triple team Zach Edey.
Or don't let
if you try to pressure to keep from him, but it's if Zach Edey touches that ball, you send 3 guys. You dare Zach Edey to make a good pass because he's big enough to make a pass, but it's just Zach Edey make a pass, and if someone else on Purdue cuts right, and that's fine.
But the point I want to make is that I think this is the toughest second round matchup to me for any of the 1 seeds. I really do think that because this Arkansas team was picked to win the SEC. Did they have the regular season that they wanted? No. One of their guys got hurt, torn ACL, done for the year. But this is a game that's going to be a lot tougher, I think, than and that's why it's only a 3.5 point spread.
Yeah, and the thing is, it opened at 4.5. It has been knocked down to 3.5. And you talk about it, Houston, Auburn. That's 5.5 for Houston right now. That's what Houston's line's sitting at. Alabama, Maryland's 8.5. Like as of now, the closest one is KU and Arkansas, and it is the right thing for it to be viewed as a very close game. Because no, this is not a great matchup for KU. Ultra athletic, fast, aggressive teams give this team trouble. And the benefit truly is that Arkansas doesn't shoot it great and shoot it a lot from outside. Because then if KU can pack the paint a little bit, they can find a way to stay in this. But if Arkansas goes on an unexpected heater from outside, have fun, Kansas. You're back in Lawrence come Sunday afternoon. And it stinks, but it's just this is going to be an incredibly tough matchup for KU against Arkansas, but it should still be fun nonetheless.
We've got we'll talk plenty of K-State, Montana State coming up later this edition of Mic'd Up. We'll get to that as well. We'll talk with Curtis Wilkerson. We'll get to some Chiefs free agency news. The Chiefs did make another signing. We'll discuss on who they lost and who they replaced them with. How are they going to fill those spots? We'll get to all that. We're going to hear from KU. We'll hear from the players. They meet with the media from 1:30 to 2. And then I have no idea. Is Bill Self going to meet with the media today? Yeah. Is Norm Roberts? I kind of lean that Bill will not coach tomorrow. And I think I will go to, if they win next week in Vegas is where and when Bill Self will coach again. Yeah. That I just don't see him coaching Saturday, especially if he doesn't meet with the media today. I know it's a day-by-day situation. I think right now, KU knows whether or not he's going to coach. They're just not going to say whether or not he's going to coach. So we got another edition of Start Bench Cut. We have Everyone Loves the List St. Patrick's Day edition. We will get to all of that. Right now, Kennesaw State up 1 on Xavier, 34-33, with 5 minutes to go in the first half.
I will not say I picked this because I didn't. I picked Xavier to win. You can't check the records, though. I did say on this show yesterday, Kennesaw State's a good team. It could be an interesting matchup for Xavier.
Well, the reason why is because Xavier plays absolutely no defense.
Yeah, they are 75th in Ken Palm defensively.
Awful defensively.
Oh, it's not great.
When I say awful, I mean awful relative
to how good they should be.
Well, no, relative to the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, yeah, of course, there's teams that are worse defense than Xavier. Every other team in the Northeast Conference exists.
Correct.
But relative to the tournament's level, they're one of the poorer defense. I mean, funny enough, though, they're not the worst defense for a 3 seed. They're the second worst defense for a 3 seed.
Yeah, it's Baylor.
It's Baylor.
Baylor's defense is terrible.
Baylor is so bad.
Yeah. That's why Baylor's
good luck, Gauchos.
Over-under is huge as well because, well, Baylor doesn't defend, but their offense is really good. Yeah. When you got those 3 guards, they can really fill it up. We'll talk Big 12 coming up here in just a little bit, and then we'll get to Curtis Wilkerson previewing KU versus Arkansas. All of our tournament coverage brought to you by Lewis Toyota here in Topeka, I-470 and Fairlawn. Shop local, shop Lewis. And if you need an oil change, how about under an hour? Lewis Toyota here in Topeka. Today might determine whether or not the Big 12 will have its reputation be restored. Baylor, Iowa State, K-State, TCU all playing today, and only Baylor is a favorite by more than 8 points. You've got Iowa State versus Pitt.
Put Pitt in.
I can see Iowa State looking great, and here's the reason why. Since the whole Caleb Grill situation, it's kind of galvanized them.
It has.
And Iowa State beat Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor, though, defensively, not good.
Yeah.
They're not good. Pittsburgh, when it comes to them defensively, Pittsburgh is not great.
Nope.
And that's why I think Iowa State will be able to score.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
Like, no, your point's fair. They were able to deal with Baylor a little bit, and they're able to score against Baylor, and Pitt is worse defensively than Baylor.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a close game. I think this game fully comes down to, can Iowa State do anything on offense? If they can win this game.
And I think
because this game will be played in the 60s.
I think they will, because Pittsburgh's not good on defense.
Yeah.
So, but that's a 5-point spread for a reason.
Yeah.
Furman was a 5-point dog to Virginia. There are a lot of 5-point, and same thing for Baylor. It just simply comes down to,
do you shoot? For me, that's what it is.
I think Baylor comes down to, if you just play a lick of defense. Just a little bit.
The thing is, I don't think it's that for Baylor. It comes down to, do your 3 guards score? If they score and don't have an off shooting night, you'll win this game. Even if you have to win it 95-85, you will win this game.
I don't think they have to worry about that, because Santa Barbara,
every game where Baylor has struggled has been down to, not like, their defense consistently is always going to be bad every game. Where they have struggled the most is when those guards can't make up for that defense.
And the reason I am not worried about that is UC Santa Barbara is not on the. That's the one thing about in conference versus out of conference. Right now, what you're seeing is the Big 12 knows each other so damn well.
Yes.
So well.
Yeah.
These other teams don't know them that well.
That's
That's
true.
why I look at offensively, they should be able to take that. That's why West Virginia losing to Maryland, to me, that's a bad loss.
No, I agree. And the other part of that being a bad loss is how with the way the game unfolded. But I think for Baylor specifically, before we look at the other Big 12 teams, but I think with Baylor specifically is it comes down to I don't care like how bad UCB's defense might be, or like it comes down to can they shoot? And that's independent of defense being played on them. It is, are they cold? Like if Adam Flagler's getting, 8 wide open threes and he goes 1 for 7 for a weird reason, does that happen to you?
I see what you're saying. Okay.
They're going to get good looks. It's do they convert them, which is the point of shooting. Is it comes down to you can get as great looks as you want. You still got to put them in. And if Baylor can put in the good looks that they're going to get, they'll win this game hands down.
And when it comes to TCU and Arizona State, I don't think Arizona State has a whole lot of great players.
Yeah.
I think if I would go with my confidence level on all of these, I would say I'm most confident in Baylor winning. Then it's going to be TCU. Then it's going to be Kansas State. And then it's going to be Iowa State. That's how I would look at this.
I think at the same level.
I think TCU at a 5-point favorite over Arizona State. I really like that. I like TCU. I think TCU is going to give people a lot of problems in this tournament. I really, really do. I think the TCU Gonzaga matchup is going to be very, that's going to be one of the most exciting and most fun second round matchups. I really do think so.
I think so. It's TCU runs, man. The fact that TCU can run and they get so many of those possessions, I really, really like what TCU can do against these teams in this tournament.
And they muddy up a game.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike Miles
if they can shoot from the perimeter at all, TCU can do a lot of fun things. Mm-hmm. Also, Xavier, what are we doing?
What are we doing is they don't play any defense. That's what we're doing. And that's why I have said this from the jump. This is why Texas has such a great draw to the Final Four. And that's why I have them in the Final Four. Is I don't think Sasser's all that healthy. And I look at Xavier, and I don't think they're very good. I don't think Iowa State is very good. Honestly, the toughest matchup for Texas might be Penn State. But right now, Kennesaw State up by, 5 with a minute to go in the first half. We got a lot to get to. Coming up next, though, we're going to talk a little Arkansas hoops. with you on this Friday. Yes, a Friday of the NCAA tournament. Of course, we got big time games coming up tomorrow. All NCAA tournament coverage from Westwood One coming to you tomorrow right here on 580 WWW FM 104.9. And who knows, maybe the feature game tomorrow at 4:15 from Des Moines will be KU versus Arkansas. We'll wait and see and to preview all things Woo Pig Suey. We welcome in Curtis Wilkerson from hogsports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Curtis Wilkerson _. Go to hogsports.com. That's HAWG sports.com. Hogsports.com if you want to get a little bit more info on this athletic and very long Arkansas team. And Curtis, that's the first thing I'm going to ask you before we get into the game against Iowa. I got to know, what about this Arkansas team that should scare KU fans?
Yeah, well, I think you hit it right on the head with the athleticism. I mean, that's kind of been the calling card of this group all season. They've got great positional size and length. You think about a guy like Anthony Black, a 6'7", 6'8" point guard that can do a lot of different things for you. They've got size across the wing. And you know, last year, this is an Arkansas team that went to the Elite Eight. But maybe one of their deficiencies was having some guys with verticality on the inside and length. You know, they had a guy in Jalen Williams who took a ton of charges. I think he set NCAA record. They weren't blocking a lot of shots. So Eric Musselman went out in the transfer portal. You got 4 guys who are 6'9", 6'10", and they become one of the better shot blocking teams, you know, in the country. So I think the length and athleticism is always something that stands out when people see Arkansas for the first time. And they do have some star power. You take a look at the backcourt, mentioned Anthony Black, Nick Smith Jr., another McDonald's All-American. Those 2 guys are projected lottery picks. And then Arkansas has some other guys from the transfer pool who've been really, really key for them this year. Ricky Council IV is one who stands out, a 6'6" wing from Wichita State, who actually led the team in scoring this season and had a big game against Illinois yesterday.
So who's the guy that has to play well? You mentioned Smith. He only had 6 points yesterday. Black super long, but who's the guy that stirs the drink? Who's the engine of this team?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I might have said Smith if it wasn't for what happened yesterday. If you'd have told me that, you know, you just shot 2 of 10 from the field and scored 6 points, but Arkansas would win by 10, I'd have told you were crazy. But lo and behold, you know, under the radar, who are really, really key for Arkansas. One's Devontae Davis, junior guard, veteran player. He's been a part of both of these Elite Eight runs for Arkansas. You really saw his leadership stand out yesterday. He's a guy that can score a little bit. He's really come a long way as a shooter. Going into Christmas, he was about 18% from 3. You're wondering if he was going to get red lighted by Eric Musselman, but he's been shooting over 40% from 3 since SEC play started. And he's their lockdown perimeter defender. And he's just so key to everything they do on that end of the floor. And then Jordan Walsh, another guy that we talk about flying under the radar. You know, he's the 3rd 5-star McDonald's All-American on this roster. But maybe didn't come with all the star-studded accolades of Anthony Black and Nick Smith. He's critical to what Arkansas does. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He's got a wingspan over 7 feet. And he's versatile. He can switch everything, defend on the wing. They can put him down there, and he can hold his own in the post. When he's engaged, he's super disruptive for Arkansas on the defensive end of the floor. And he's a guy who, when he's feeling it, when he's playing with confidence, he can step out and space the floor, knock down a 3, get on the offensive glass. Arkansas can be a little bit offensively challenged at times, but when he's going, they're a much better version of themselves.
When you look at the box score against Illinois, you win by 10, which is great. Shout out to the Hogs. They made me some money yesterday. When I look at this, though, they shot just 11 threes. That's it. Normally, if you want to pull off an upset against the number 1 team, you at least got to shoot the 3 pretty well. Do they shoot the 3 well? And do they even shoot threes? I mean, 11 threes in a game to me is not just small. That's almost like they didn't even try to shoot the 3.
Yeah, the answer is no to all of the above. That's kind of been, you know, maybe one of the Achilles heels for this Arkansas team throughout the course of the year. I don't think they projected as a very good 3-point shooting team coming into the year. They lost sophomore forward Trevin Brazile, who was probably one of their better percentage and volume guys to an ACL tear about 10 games in. So that hampered things. And I do think the numbers are skewed a little bit because Arkansas was without Nick Smith for a large portion of the season. I think he's clearly their best shooter. But no, this is a team that they shoot around 31, 32% from 3. I think they're in the 300s nationally when it comes to ranking. But yeah, they don't shoot a lot of them. They're averaging about 16 3-point attempts per game. You only find about 3 or 4 teams in the country who attempt fewer threes than Arkansas. So they've really put an emphasis on getting downhill, getting to the rim, kind of using that length and athleticism to finish around the basket, get to the free throw line. And they really like to get out and play in transition. And so it's kind of been Eric Musselman's philosophy. He knows that they're not going to be a high percentage 3-point shooting team. So how can they make up for it in other areas? And for them, it's getting to the free throw lines, which has been a challenge for them at times, but also limiting opponents and their 3-point attempts. So Arkansas doesn't give up a high percentage from three, and they really, really limit opponents' attempts as well. So it's interesting how they mirror themselves in that way.
We're talking with Curtis Wilkerson. He's up in Des Moines right now covering the Hogs for hogsports.com. And you mentioned, the size inside. They really crashed the glass hard. Is this a team that goes after offensive rebounds with their length, with their athleticism? I mean, you out-rebound Illinois by almost 10. They only had 2 offensive boards where you ended up with 10. Is this because that's one thing that KU can struggle with sometimes is a lot of length. Look what happens with Texas the last couple of games. They got a lot of length. Tennessee earlier this year, they had a lot of length. Is that something that you think will be a huge factor in this one?
Yeah, I think so. Going back to Musselman, and he's just trying to kind of find ways to make up those point deficits from not hitting a bunch of threes. And so it's racking up the shots on goal. And doing that is creating extra possessions. So, yeah, those guys really attack the offensive glass hard. They do it from all positions. And like you mentioned, this is a team that's really, really long. And so they'll play volleyball with it in there. If they can't come down and grab the offensive rebound, they'll tip it up or tip it out to create some extra possessions. And they did a really good job, with that against Illinois. And it's interesting, we talk about all the length and athleticism for Arkansas, but they started senior forward Kamani Johnson. This guy's about 6'7", 240 pounds. He's a below the rim player, but he's super, super physical. He grabbed 4 offensive rebounds by himself in this game, just kind of being a bowling ball in there. He got more offensive rebounds in the game than Illinois did as a team. So, they do it by playing above the rim, but they also got some guys who will get in there and bang with you a little bit. So it's a nice, kind of complement of talent there for the Hogs.
Alrighty. When it comes to matchups, because that's what this is all about. KU doesn't have that big dude inside, but they've got guard play. They got 5 really good players. Juwan Harris, really good. Kevin McCullough, when he's playing well, this team plays so much better. So who does Anthony Black guard? Does he guard DeJuan Harris? Does he guard, Kevin McCullough? Do you put him on Grady Dick? I'm interested because Black can do so many different things at 6'7".
Yeah, I was wondering about that today, and for me, it kind of starts with what is Arkansas going to do with Jalen Harris, because usually, their lockdown defender is Devo Davis, but he's long and he's athletic. He's about 6'4", 185 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and he's guarded guys like Brandon Miller and had a lot of success over the course of the season. But Harris will take you down into the post, and so I think that presents a little bit of a problem, for Arkansas in that matchup. They're not afraid to put him on bigger guys. But if you can go down there and put him in the post and go to work on him, that can be problematic. We saw that with Illinois' Coleman Hawkins a couple times yesterday. So I don't know if that's the way they're going to go with him. And so I wonder if maybe they go with an Anthony Black, a guy who's, like you said, he's 6'7", 6'8", he's over 200 pounds, he's got a good frame. It would be a unique defensive assignment for him. But I wonder if he could handle that. If not him, then I would imagine Jordan Walsh is going to get a bulk of that assignment. They've got a big wing in Ricky Council. He's 6'6", about 210 pounds. I could see him, as a guy that's on McCullers there. And I just wonder if maybe Arkansas takes Devo Davis and puts him on DeJuan Harris, because it seems to me like, he might be the straw that stirs the drink for Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that maybe he's not the most willing scorer at times. When he is and he's engaged, they're really, really hard to beat. But, man, when you've got over 200 assists in a season, the things he does on the other end of the floor, it seems like if you can kind of disrupt him a little bit, you might give yourself a chance.
We're talking with Curtis Wilkerson from hogsports.com. All right. The line is 3.5 for Kansas. It opened up at 4, so some people liking the Hogs. Do you think this is appropriate? Do you think that the Hogs are about a 3-point underdog?
Yeah, I think that's about right. It's interesting. This Arkansas team, if you look at them on paper, you see them out there on the floor. They have the talent and they have the coach to compete with anybody. They really do. And they've been in a lot of tight ball games. We talk about that 3.5. Oh, they lost by 3 at Baylor. They lost by 3 at Alabama. So they've been in all these one-possession games. They've had a hard time closing because it is a young team. Outside of Devo Davis and Kamani Johnson, there wasn't much NCAA tournament experience there. So they've had their share of inconsistencies, but they're certainly capable. Obviously, Kansas should be favored. I think that 3.5 is probably about right.
I'm surprised that the line is just 143. That tells me it's a game in the low 70s. I think both these teams like to get out and go. I mean, this is going to be a high possession game in my estimation. I'm a little surprised it's not higher than that.
Yeah, I might be too. It's interesting about Arkansas because they are, a team that really likes to fly up the floor and create turnovers and get out in transition. I actually sit front and center and watch Kansas do that to Howard yesterday. So I was kind of thinking the same thing. This might become a real track meet that's high scoring. But, Arkansas has been playing fast all year. They typically score anywhere in those high 60s to low 70s range. So, if it's going to be a tight ball game and if Arkansas is going to be in it, will be down in the low 70s. They've got to figure out a way to disrupt the shot makers. The whole thing about Arkansas, they try to really disrupt and run people off of the 3-point line so that they can keep Grady Dick from knocking down 5 or 6 threes. Maybe they can keep Kansas down in the mid to low 70s. We'll see. But yeah, I kind of was thinking the same thing. Feels like it's going to be an up-tempo matchup. It's kind of an interesting number there.
What do you think ends up being the key factor, the key matchup? Is it threes for Arkansas, threes for KU? Is it Jalen Wilson if he goes off? Is it Ricky Council coming up big? Is it Smith? Where do you think, is it on the glass? Where do you think the biggest sway in this game could be?
Well, I really think it comes down to poise and execution down the stretch for Arkansas. If you go back and look at their schedule in some of their games, this has been a Razorback team that it doesn't matter who it's against. They build up double-digit leads. They have comfortable cushions in the second half of games, and they've evaporated so many times. It happened to them at Alabama. It happened to them at Baylor. It happened to them at Missouri, Texas A&M. These are all NCAA tournament teams where Arkansas was on cruise control in the second half, and they get into these scoring droughts and get into some ruts on the offensive end of the floor, and they let teams get back in games, and they, quite frankly, they've collapsed at times. They were up 17 on Illinois yesterday. Obviously, in an NCAA tournament game, teams are going to fight back. They clawed back within 5, and you kind of thought Arkansas was teetering again, but they finally responded and answered. They made the timely stops. They got the timely buckets, and they knocked down their free throws. We talked about how important it is for Arkansas to get to the free throw line. They've been shooting under 70% on the year. It's very uncharacteristic for an Eric Musselman team. They were 15 of 17 in the second half. So, if Arkansas follows their script and they're able to get an early lead and kind of land that first punch, can they sustain it, keep their foot on the gas, remain poised, and execute down the stretch against a team who, quite frankly, is going to be one of the most talented they've played all season?
And this will be interesting to see how they handle being the underdog. They got nothing to lose. I mean, nobody's probably thinking they're going to win. It's KU. If I'm a KU fan, I was hoping Illinois was going to win this game because if I'm a KU fan, I did not want to see Arkansas. I think it's going to be a terrific game. It really, really will be. And Arkansas as the underdog will be fun. All righty, last two for the road. You can just answer me easy question, whatever comes off your head. Will Eric Musselman leave Arkansas at any time?
Oh, at any time, I'm sure he probably will. It's interesting. He's a West Coast guy. I think people were kind of surprised when he came to Arkansas. Obviously, he was reinventing his career after a long tenure in the NBA and professional ranks. But I don't know that he's looking, he's got a great situation at Arkansas. The fan base is incredibly supportive. They've got the support of the university, and he's got a good thing rolling right now. So, if he gets a little bit older and wants to get back on the West Coast, it wouldn't surprise me. But he definitely has an understanding of kind of a special situation he has now.
All righty. Arkansas fans, you get your choice. One national title in football, basketball, or baseball. Give me the order in which they would want the national title. Football, basketball, or baseball.
Arkansas fans would definitely say football, then basketball, then baseball. I'm a hoops guy, so I'm going to give me basketball. I love Sam Pittman, but hey, listen, I'm a hardwood guy. So for me, it would be a little bit of a different order. Give me basketball, football, and baseball.
Baseball's huge there. Oh my goodness, it's so big. Like I wonder if someone would be like, look, we've never won a national title. They came so close to that national title a couple of years ago. All you got to do is catch foul ball. By the way, it's the right fielder's ball. You got to run and catch that thing. So I thought, like maybe people would say baseball over basketball.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think compared to a lot of places in the country, it's a big deal at Arkansas. They'll draw 12,500 for an SEC weekend series. So they're super, super passionate about it. But it is SEC country, right? And we know that football is king in the South. So I would still give that the edge. But listen, Arkansas wins the College World Series. It's going to go absolutely nuts. Fayetteville's going to be a madhouse.
Curtis, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the media day today. And hopefully it's a good one coming up on Saturday.
Hey, you got it. Thanks so much for having me on.
4:15, Hogs and Hawks. Edition number 2. I thought that was very interesting from Curtis Wilkerson there that says Arkansas has a hard time closing out games. So, KU fans, this Hog team gets out early. It is far from just like they did against Illinois. Got out early, but they held on late.
You got Arkansas, you got an Arkansas team that struggles to close, and a KU team that has made a living 2 years in a row now off of coming back from insane deficits.
It could be the same thing in football as in basketball.
What, Arkansas gets out to a big lead and then KU just comes roaring back?
Yeah, what happened?
That bowl game was so fun.
What happens
there?
That
bowl game was so incredibly entertaining.
I
missed that.
All of our coverage for the NCAA hoops brought to you by Lewis Toyota. Right here in Topeka, I-470 in Fairlawn. Shop local, shop Lewis. Little score update. Michigan State leading USC 58-49. Still a lot of ball left.
Like USC to figure it out.
8 minutes to go. Kennesaw State up by 7 against Xavier. Xavier plays absolutely no defense, so that shouldn't stun anybody. But those are the scores. And right now, the Baylor Bears up on UC Santa Barbara 21-16 midway through the first half. One of 4 Big 12 today. We'll get to more K-State, Montana State coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll hear from KU, the contingent from Des Moines at 1:30. A lot to get to. Coming up next, though, on Second Thought here on Mic'd Up. Chiefs talk coming up. Also, everyone loves the list, St. Patrick's Day edition, but it is time for On Second Thought. Fulton, what do you got?
I'm disappointed. I thought the Arizona Wildcats were going to go farther and really should have thought it through that they wouldn't probably go all the way to the Elite Eight. Also, minor thing, I should have given Princeton a little more credit for a chance in an upset. I was wrong yesterday to say they had no chance. I was wrong to say they had no chance. An Ivy League team in the tournament, there's always a chance. The nerds find a way to win more often than not. It's really weird, and I love it.
I'm just surprised at how just shook Arizona was.
Yeah, they were shooketh.
Like that to me is the biggest stunner there.
Yeah.
On just how shook they were. Dan Lucero, not happy right now because he had Arizona winning it all.
I'm sorry,
The
Dan.
whole thing about your bracket is you want to have all your final four still left.
Yeah.
After the first weekend.
Yeah.
That's really a huge boost if you can do that. Is your final four still there in the Sweet 16? If they are, then you're probably going to do pretty well in your bracket. Also, if Baylor could guard anyone, Baylor would be really tough to beat in this tournament.
Yeah, they just can't guard anyone.
Really tough, but they really can't. Coming up, we're going to talk all things Chiefs here on Mic'd Up. St. Patrick's Day Friday. Thank you so much for joining us on another first round matchup in the NCAA tournament. Jake and Fulton caster with you. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, very simple, very easy. Hit us up 785-272-9429. Some interesting matchups going on right now.
Very much so.
Right now, Michigan State leads USC by 9 with 1:45 to go.
I would like USC to go on a mini 7-0 run here.
Kennesaw State is giving it to Xavier right now. They're up 51-38 with 15 and a half to play. That's already in the second half. Xavier has gone cold. Kennesaw State right now putting it to Xavier. UC Santa Barbara up 31-29 over Baylor with 3:15 to go in the first half. And the first 1-50 matchup between VCU and St. Mary's, and it is VCU 3, St. Mary's 2, in a game that shouldn't be played because why pit, mid-major versus mid-major. I'm still upset about that. Still very upset about that. But this isn't a surprise. Right now, if you look at what is going on.
Yeah.
Xavier plays no defense.
Nope.
And they are getting worked.
They're getting housed.
Baylor plays no defense. And they're losing to UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
You've got to play some defense in the NCAA tournament. You cannot just outscore people.
It does not work that well if that's your plan.
You cannot do that. And I don't know a whole. I always choose Michigan State to win at least one game. Because of Tom Izzo.
No, that's fair.
And right now they're up 9 with 1 and 13 seconds to go. So it looks like they're going to move on and advance.
This has just been a bad start to the day.
Well, you should have followed my advice.
Well, Jake, you're not wrong. I also followed the exact same system that got me to a 9-5 yesterday.
That is
and
true.
We're not doing as well today.
That is true.
And by that, I mean we're like staring down the barrel of 0-3.
Well, that happens.
We'll rally, though. We will rally for the rest of today.
Yeah. The VCU St. Mary's game, the over-under right now is 116. That just goes to show you the first 1-50 will win that contest. So lots to discuss today. All of our tournament coverage brought to you by Lewis Toyota here in Topeka, I-470 and Fairlawn. Right now, though, we're going to get to a little bit of Chiefs news when it comes to the offseason. And it looks as though the Chiefs are finding a way to fill some of the holes. And all of a sudden, my my computer just died.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
It's just refusing to work today. It wants to take the day off. It's mad you're making it work on a holiday.
Is this considered a holiday?
Well, that's a great question, Jake. Depends on who you ask. Most depends on who you ask what this holiday is actually about and what is its importance.
I have no idea. I just know you wear green. And I grew up where if you didn't wear green, you got pinched.
And no one agrees on if that should matter for this holiday.
Well, I feel like that's the whole, like, it's St. Patrick's Day. So it's like Ireland, it's green. Like, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Ah,
Are we back? You good?
I believe so.
Okay.
That was wild. Like, your whole computer just shut down. Anyways,
Anywho,
I do like St. Patrick's Day.
I do too. It's a good time.
Here are the
Good day.
Here are the individuals that the Chiefs have moved on from. Orlando Brown, Frank Clark, Juju Smith-Schuster, Juan Thornhill, Andrew Wiley, Colin Saunders, Michael Burton, Nick Allegretti, Justin Watson, and Carlos Dunlap. They have not retained those individuals. Now, who have they replaced them with? Fun fact, today they have signed Nick Allegretti.
Yeah, Nick Allegretti has been replaced by Nick Allegretti.
Now, I look at this two different ways. I look at this as it's a good depth move because he can play center, he can play guard, and he's going to be cheap and he knows the system. That's a huge positive. Does this say something about Darian Kennard?
I'll ask you this question, Jake, and I think it will give you an answer to that question. Can anyone else not named Nick Allegretti and Creed Humphrey play center?
No.
I've answered your question.
So this is more you think of
They needed a backup center.
100%.
It's a combination of Nick Allegretti knows the system, and so they like familiarity. They want to keep the continuity for a guy that is good in a pinch. Plus, Nick Allegretti is good as a backup offensive lineman.
Okay.
The other simple fact was this. They had no one else to play center outside of Creed Humphrey. Like,
and the reason I say
none of their other backups play center.
And the reason I say that is you could have drafted somebody there.
You could have.
But I think let's look at the backups, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, your starting offensive line is Taylor, Tooney, Creed, Smith, and Yang. That's your front five. Your backups are, as of right now, Allegretti, Kennard, and Prince Tega Wanogo. That's your backup. Those are your 8 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I think now they draft another offensive lineman.
Probably.
Could be a tackle. So there's your
9.
There's your 9. So I don't think it's a huge negative to Kennard. I think this is you're gonna need 9 offensive linemen. That's the way that the Chiefs operate, and they've got now 3 backups in Allegretti, Kennard, and Tega Wanogo. Plus, they are going to draft an offensive lineman.
They'll draft a lineman, and this bring Allegretti back as simple as depth is important, and the Chiefs like depth they can trust, and they know for a fact. Someone on the interior goes down, throw in Allegretti, we're good to go. He will not be an immediate, complete weak link.
No. I don't know the actual salary dollars.
Yeah, I don't know if the numbers for that contract have come out yet.
I don't think so. And it's not going to be actually they have.
No.
Right now, Nick Allegretti signed a 4-year, $2.6 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right.
Actually, no, that's his rookie deal. Scratch that. No, I don't know the number. No.
I'm not trying to laugh at you too much, Jake, but that was funny.
Yeah. It's a 1-year deal. My guess is 1 year, $2-3 million.
Yeah, something like that. Nothing crazy.
I'd be like, 4 years? That doesn't seem right. Maybe, okay.
I mean, maybe Nick Allegretti wanted to take a long-term deal to be a backup. I don't know.
So they've replaced Nick Allegretti with Nick Allegretti.
Yes.
Here's where the Chiefs have moved on but filled their spot. Orlando Brown Jr. Well, that is Juwan Taylor.
Yep.
I think it is a improvement, and I'm going to tell you for 2 reasons why. One, I think he fits their system a little bit better, being a little bit more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, it is a long-term deal.
Yes.
Okay, so where they were at last year was Orlando Brown Jr. on a 1-year contract. Now they've got stability at the left tackle.
They want a long-term left tackle, and they got it.
Frank Clark, Charles Omenihu is who they've replaced Frank Clark with. I think this is an improvement, and here's the reason why. I think Charles Omenihu is younger, and I think he's a little bit more athletic than Frank Clark.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that's the biggest thing is the youth change, and I think he's just a better player.
So right now, the Chiefs have gone from Orlando Brown Jr. and Frank Clark to Juwan Taylor and Charles Omenihu. I think that is a net positive.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Juju Smith-Schuster. They have not filled Juju Smith-Schuster's role as of now, unless you look at they think that Tony is filling in Juju's role.
Yeah. Which I hope not.
Juan Thornhill. They have replaced Juan Thornhill with Brian Cook. Brian Cook is going to be your starting safety now, next to Justin Reed.
That's the plan.
Okay. Andrew Wiley, no longer here. If you want to say still to be determined on Andrew Wiley,
I think we can say to be determined on Wiley until we know who the right tackle is going to be.
Okay.
And then the replacement is just who becomes the new right tackle. So as of now, you could say Lucas Niang, but there's no guarantee he's your starting right tackle.
Colin Saunders is nobody. It's a to be determined as of now.
Yeah.
They have not replaced him. Michael Burton. They have not replaced the fullback in Michael Burton. Now,
biggest shocker ever that they let him go.
I think they're moving on from the fullback position.
Really?
Now, we will find out. Maybe they'll just find a cheaper version of Michael Burton.
I don't know. Yeah. Andy Reid likes his fullbacks. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. However, he did get really weird when he used Jerick McKinnon as a fullback. So maybe Andy's just going to go all weird, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get to be a fullback.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not for sure as of right now. But fullback spot, not a huge deal.
No.
All right. Now you've got Justin Watson. Justin Watson right now is filled by Justin or John Ross.
Yeah, one of the Rosses.
And then Carlos Dunlap.
Which he doesn't really have a replacement yet.
Don't have a replacement yet. So if you look at who they have lost on the offensive side, on the offensive line, Orlando Brown, they're filling in with Juwan Taylor. Andrew Wiley, they're filling that role right now with Lucas Niang. And the backup for Niang is going to be Kennard. I think right there, Wiley over Niang, that's a net negative as of this point. Now, still to be determined.
Yeah.
Thornhill and Cook, I think that's a push because I think Cook can be better. Plus, he's younger and cheaper. But I think playing-wise, it is a push. The biggest aspect for this Chiefs team, which they've lost and moved on from and to replace, is the defensive line. Because right now, you don't have a replacement for Colin Saunders. You don't have a replacement for Derek Nottie. You don't have a replacement for Carlos Dunlap. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs did fill Frank Clark with Charles Omenihu. They still have got Karlaftis. They still got Dana. But they need 8 defensive linemen. That's what the Chiefs like to use, 8 defensive linemen. They have 5. Yep. I'm not counting Danny Shelton or Daniel Wise. I'm not.
No, they're just deaf at this point.
So you've got 3 spots to fill. Tershawn Wharton, if you want to say, okay, Big Turk will take care of Nottie. All right, but then you got to have somebody fill in for Turk.
Yeah.
So that is where I look at the biggest question marks for the Kansas City Chiefs are up front on the defensive line. Because your starting D line right now is Omenihu, Jones, Wharton, and Karlaftis. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. The backups to them now become Dana, Wharton, don't know, Malik Herring.
I mean,
like that's where finding a receiver to replace Juju Smith-Schuster. I would like for it maybe to be a veteran, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. If they don't, I'm still okay with it because
you can find ways to still make it work.
If you told me Tony will be healthy for 16 games next year, I would say fine. Tony just replaced you.
The entire reason you want something else is just insurance for if Tony gets hurt because of his injury history. Like, that's all it is at this point. Mm-hmm. I will say at the same time, though, it's the exact same thing you worried about Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Like, it's the exact same thing. Because the Patriots had to ask themselves that same question: are they prepared if Juju goes down with his history?
So that is where I look at the Chiefs free agency spot. They have improved in the two biggest holes in Orlando Brown Jr. and Frank Clark.
Yes.
They've replaced them with Jawan Taylor and Charles Dement, who got younger and I think got more athletic. Wide receiver, I think Mahomes will take care of that. Thornhill and Brian Cook, net neutral. I like the re-signing of Allegretti. He helps bring depth.
Yeah.
And then you can still re-sign Justin Watson. You can find, and maybe the Justin Ross or the John Ross or a draft pick are going to be thrown in there. So overall, I like what the Chiefs have been doing for the offseason.
Yeah.
I really, really do. The only way they could hit it out of the park is if they find somebody to fill in at wide receiver and D-line. Otherwise, I think this has been very, very good.
I agree.
A little update. Tom Izzo and the Spartans move on. They are advancing in the NCAA tournament. They get the win today. They covered the 1.5. Kennesaw State is up 61-51 with 8 minutes to go.
Given the business, and they are not the only 3 seed losing at the moment.
Santa Barbara leading Baylor 36-35. And neither Xavier nor Baylor plays any defense whatsoever. And in our all defense special, St. Mary's leads VCU 14-13.
Ooh, they reached 27 points.
They did.
Proud of them.
They definitely did.
Oh, boy.
So there's still 9 minutes to go in the first half, but that is an absolute rock fight right now.
Man, we might seriously have 2 14s win on the opening sessions.
And a 13 and a 15.
I mean, today alone.
Oh,
today, in the first 4 games, 2 14s might win.
Yeah.
Like, discounting the craziness yesterday.
Yeah.
That's insane. Also, K-State, Buck Club then. Might be a bad day to be a 3 seed.
Does K-State play defense?
Yes. That's their best thing they do.
Then
no, I agree. They'll be fine.
Then K-State will. The reason why these two teams are,
they can't stop anybody. So if they can't,
and it's not even close. Like that's the concern for me for Gonzaga is they don't play any defense.
Gonzaga's defense is bad.
That is a concern for Gonzaga, but their offense, it's elite. We're talking top 2. Where Baylor's offense is elite, but their defense is
so bad.
Not, if you think, actually, do they have the worst defense?
Among the 3s, yes.
No.
Among everyone on the field, no.
They are the worst defensive team in the tournament, seed-wise, except for Miami and Providence.
Yeah.
Which is why Drake will probably beat Miami because Miami plays no defense.
Wouldn't be surprised.
We'll get a timeout coming up next. Everyone loves the list, St. Patrick's Day edition. Everyone loves the list. St. Patrick's Day edition. Very simple, very easy. Your favorite parts about St. Patty's Day? Fulton, what do you got? Number 4.
Very simple. I just enjoy the good St. Patrick's Day decorations some people throw out. Green is a very fun color. And as much as like I made the comment like the variety of way people celebrate it, more green the better. Green is a very enjoyable color. So I enjoy whatever decorations people get to throw up at this time.
My number 4 is I get to have a lot of fun with my kids where you're not wearing green, and then you get to go and chase them and they think it's hilarious. So that is a newfound reason why I like St. Patrick's Day.
That's very fair. Number 3 for me, Irish food is good. Potatoes, sausages, sauerkraut can be kind of tripped in. That's more German than Irishy, but it's still good.
Number 3, I get to wear my really crazy green and navy blue plaid pants. They look good.
That's fair. My number 2, I didn't get to wear it today or anything like that because it was cold, so I wore more weather things. Fun outfits.
Yeah.
There are some good fun outfits for St. Patty's Day.
They're
nice pants, Jake.
They look good. Look good. Number 2, parade. St. Patty's Day parade. It's a lot of fun.
Number 1 is very simple. I get to drink a bunch of Irish-related beer, and no one will judge me.
Green beer. The beer has not gone bad, folks.
It's just green.
It is just green. Coming up, we're going to hear from KU, and we'll see. Is it Norm Roberts? Is it Bill Self? We'll get to that coming up next. With you, Xavier, a 15-0 run. The Musketeers lead it now, 63-61 over Kennesaw State.
I need them to keep making a run.
Holy smokes, that's incredible. 4:15 to go, so a lot left in this one. So a team could win by a lot or lose by a lot. We'll have to wait and find out. But right now, Xavier up by 2. But right now we're going to head to Des Moines. You've got Kevin McCullough and
Joe Yesufu, I believe, is at the dais.
So we will head there, and then we will potentially hear from Norm Robertson, Bill Self, or Bill Self, one of the two. But let's head to Des Moines.
Questions on the aisle? Go ahead.
Hey guys, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. What's it been like not having Coach Self here around you as usual? I mean, I guess he's been around, but not coaching the games. And how has it been with Coach Roberts?
Coach Self, he's been around us, as well. He's doing great, and having Coach Rob, pushing us, it's no drop off. Coach Rob knows what he's doing. He's another mirror image of Coach Self and what he's saying, and he gets us the game plan, and we go out there and execute.
Is there anything else to add?
I can't be right with Gail said again. He's a mirror image of Coach Self. And expectations don't change. He's got to be ready.
We're going to go very back. Go ahead, sir.
Todd Richardson, ESPN Arkansas. Kevin, you competed against the Razorbacks 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament. I think Devo was the only player on that team that actually played you guys tonight. What do you remember about that game? What do you specifically remember about him?
That's been a while ago. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember it was a good game. It came down to a last second shots or something like that, and it was a great environment. We played him at Butler, and it was like the Sweet 16. Devo, he's a great player. He's a great guard, and it'll be fun to match up against Arkansas again.
Okay, we're going to go to the aisle right here.
Thanks. Hey guys, Scott Reese, KCTV5, Kansas City. Playing in the Big 12, you obviously play against a lot of big-time talent over the course of the year, and I know you can appreciate what Arkansas brings to the table. I'm just wondering, what is it like playing in a game on this stage with so much NBA talent on the floor as we're going to see tomorrow?
Start with Joseph first.
Of course, we've seen a lot of that from the Big 12. Like I said, Arkansas has a bunch of explosive athletes. We got to learn how to defend them. He's got to lock in on them.
Kevin?
Like you said, they have a bunch of athletes, high caliber guys. They can put the ball in the hole at a high rate and guard. Playing in the Big 12, I feel like we've been battle tested. Them playing in the SEC, they've been battle tested. So it's going to be a great matchup, and it should be fun.
Stay on the side. Go ahead.
Kevin, I know you said before the last game that your back spasms went away. Did they flare up at all during the game last night?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling the best I've felt. Credit to the training staff here at KU for getting me back right. And, I just felt good out there being out there and competing with my brothers.
Other questions in the back?
Brendan Dworzinski, WIBW Radio in Topeka. Joe, this one's for you. During the tournament, more and more people talk about how depth doesn't matter, and really you need 5, maybe a 6-man rotation. That's all you need. Since you've been first off the bench, kind of leading that bench unit last few weeks, really for the majority of the season, how important to you is bench depth when you get to tournament time?
It's very important getting guys rest because it's a long tournament. We're trying to go 3 weeks in the tournament, but we're taking each game as it is. And I feel like we just got to get these guys rest as much as we can.
We're going to stay on that same side, and then we'll come up to the front here.
Chris Lazarino with Kansas Alumni. Kevin, could you offer a little bit of reflection on the journey you've had this year? Presumably, this is the point in the year really why you chose to finish things out at Kansas. Thoughts about what's happened for you so far, and now that you're in the middle of all this.
Playing in games like this is why I came to Kansas. This is why I came here. It's been a great journey so far. Just taking it day by day and just enjoying the little things on the way. It's been great going out here and competing with the team and playing amongst the guys on our team as well. So it's been fun.
There you go. Right in front there.
Gary Bedore, Casey Star. Kevin, what does it bring to the team when Joe is hot like yesterday when he comes in and hits a couple threes? And I got to follow it.
It's huge. When Joe comes in and knocks shots down, that gives us momentum. He's instant offense off the bench, and he's a bulldog on defense. That's his role, and he's been doing a great job at his role.
To you guys, they start 4 guards. Is it going to be similar teams going at it?
Yeah. We get that lineup quite often against different teams that we play. There's going to be 4 guards out there at a time, at any time of the game, most of the time. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup.
Same side and line.
Hey guys, obviously you guys know the number one seeds for a reason because you had great seasons, but the number ones get upset every once in a while. It's not uncommon for one of them to get beat in the second round. Just as the number one seed who's had a great season, you guys are heavily favored. But how do you see that matchup, knowing that a number 8 or a number 9, depending on who you're playing, can be a dangerous second round team? And then do you see Arkansas that way?
Start with Joe first.
We just got to be prepared every game. Anybody could get upset. We just got to take it game by game, focus in on scout, and just lock in. We can't take anybody lightly in this tournament.
It's March Madness for a reason. Anybody can get beat, and everybody's in the tournament for a reason. It really doesn't matter your seed once you get here. You just got to worry about your next matchup and go out there and play.
Other questions, please raise your hand. We're going to go on this side, then we'll come over to you, sir.
This one's for Joseph. Kevin, I know you weren't on the team last year, but you guys winning the national championship. How do you continue to do the little things that it takes to get back to that point? How does that hunger stay?
That goes to leadership. We got a lot of returning guys, Jay Will and Juan for one. They've really been just doing that the whole summer, just leading us and getting us prepared for this moment. We've seen the big stage, so we'll be ready. And Kev has been part of that too. So.
Looking at you guys' schedule, y'all had a few Saturday, Monday turnarounds. How might having that experience help you guys in this tournament setting?
Kevin?
It's huge. Playing on, Saturday games and then getting ready and getting prepared one day prep, playing on Big Monday in the season gets you ready for the tournament. You got to do a good job of, learning from your mistakes from the last game, but putting that behind you and kind of, looking forward and getting ready quick, taking care of your body and doing all the little things you got to do.
Joe, anything there?
Everything what Kev said, he's 100% right.
Other questions? Again, please give your name and affiliation.
Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Your Jalen's a Big 12 Player of the Year, All-American. Just wondering, what is it that makes him so good? What do you guys really like about his game?
Joe?
For me, it's his work ethic. Behind closed door, he works his butt off, and I see that every day. Constantly watching film with our coaches, and he's just a great leader overall. So that's what I would say about him.
Kevin?
I'll just say the little things that he does. It's not all about what people see about him scoring the ball at a high rate or his stats, just affecting the game in different ways and being so versatile, being a leader on the bench, timeouts, different things like that, being an on-court coach. That's the biggest thing I see.
Still have 10 minutes left in this press conference here. We're going to go to the front row here.
What games have you guys been watching? Any impressions of the other games, and have you had a lot of free time?
Kevin?
I've been watching a bunch of games. Really, it's no surprises. It's March Madness, so it's the best time of the year. Anybody can get beat, like I said earlier. It's been fun though. It's nothing like just sitting around watching games all day when we're not playing. So it's been a blessing. It's been fun.
Joe?
Like you said, it's the best time of the year. Everybody. It's a blessing to be here. Not a lot of teams could say they've been here, so it's definitely been fun watching these games.
Any other questions out there? Got one in the back row again.
For either one of you guys, Jalen has talked so much this year about how, this team has championship pedigree and you've been there and you've been down in big situations, come back, you've been in tough environments. Does the thought ever creep in during game preparation or in games that this could be it? This could be the last game of the year? Is it ever kind of a nervousness almost, or is it just business as usual when you get into a tough spot, which could certainly happen in a matchup like this one?
Joe?
Definitely nervousness is there, but I feel like that's needed, just for us to stay focused. Obviously we don't want this to be our last practice. We don't want the next game to be our last game. So just locking in and just being prepared for each and every moment.
Kevin?
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what Joe said, just got to trust your work that you put in, trust your preparation every day, and just go out there and play every game like it's your last game. When you just want to be able to walk off that court and know you left everything on there.
Joseph, what's it like for you playing post Houston play, kind of where you initially started your college career?
Coming from Drake, he had to make it out of the Missouri Valley Conference. But here, we're just kind of knowing that we're going to make the tournament, but we still have to work hard. We still have to uphold what others brought to this team. So it's not really a difference. I still know that I got to, play hard, do what I got to do, and play my role.
Go ahead. Chris Lazarino, Kansas alumni. Kevin, could picking up on the question about Jalen, could you offer some insights to him away from the game? From our perspective, we only see him here, right? He seems like a mature young guy who's just really growing up over this year, over the last, however many, 18. He's really going up fast. He seems like he's pretty calm, collected. What's he like away from the court?
Jalen's real calm and collective. That's my roommate. He's probably the cleanest dude I ever been around. I can't leave nothing out without him getting on me. So, he's real mature. Going back to knowing him since high school, how far he's came, it's been a huge step for him when he was at Denton Geyer. Just seeing the steps he's took, I'm just super proud of him, and I'm blessed to be able to play my last year with him.
Switch sides.
Guys, Dave Campbell, Associated Press. What is the number one way that Coach Roberts is the mirror image of Coach Self?
Start with Kevin.
I would just say his passion and his will to win, and wanting to win. How competitive he is. His pregame speeches get you pretty pumped up. I said, if you want to go out there and run through a brick wall, sometimes he gets you turned up. So, Coach Rob, I would say just his grit and just how bad he wants to win.
Joe.
He's very competitive. You guys see him in practice. He has the will to win, just like Coach Self. And that's all I can say about Coach Rob.
Any other remaining questions? We're gonna have on the final question. Be right over here, Karen. There we go.
I know you guys have probably gone through some film study already, but do you guys compete against any of these players in maybe AAU ball or high school at all? I know you've got some Texas connections, Kevin, so I didn't know if there was any passovers there.
No, I've never played any of these guys other than Devo back in the tournament in the Sweet 16 about 2 years ago. They have a bunch of Texas kids, a lot of high-ranked guys that came out of high school from Texas. So it'd be fun to match up with guys making it out of that state and having a name.
Joe?
Who I play? I play Ricky and at Wichita when I was at Drake. We squeaked by on that one, but it's definitely a great group of guys. Drive picks like you guys said, and we just got to be ready.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Again, the Kansas locker room is open, and we'll have Kansas coach with us shortly. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So that is what the players, Kevin McCullough and Joseph Yesufu, had to say. We will see if it's Bill Self or if it is Norm Roberts. What a dandy going on right now. Xavier,
yeah, we got a good one.
And Kennesaw State tied up at 67 with 18 seconds left. Xavier at the free throw line.
You know what I would take in this game, Jake?
What?
Overtime.
Why?
And then, maybe Xavier goes on like a 14-0 run in OT. Maybe that happens.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
This has been
that'd be awesome.
This has been fun because Kennesaw State got seriously shook when Xavier went on a 15-0 run to tie it.
And this is where those teams that can't defend real well but have those great offenses do get in. It's just, Xavier misses the front.
Oh,
we got a 1-point game.
Yeah,
we got 10 seconds on the clock,
and they're gonna call it time.
Oh man, they ruined some live play-by-play. We could have tossed in there.
Well, this has been a fun early window.
This tournament's great, man.
Right now, we are waiting for Norm Roberts and or Bill Self.
One of the two.
We will get to that in the 2 o'clock hour as we near up to the top of the hour. So we will Give you a little score update. All of our NCAA tournament coverage brought to you by Lewis Toyota here in Topeka, I-470 in Fairlawn. Baylor up by 5 over the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara, 48-43. St. Mary's leads by 1 at the half, 29-28 over VCU. Those are the 3 games that are going on right now. Marquette and Vermont set to tip off momentarily. Iowa State and Pittsburgh coming up in just a little bit. Already, Michigan State winners over USC. Didn't really come down to the very end. Michigan State flexed their muscles and took care of business.
They did.
But I will be stunned, and looking at the placard, it looks like it is going to be Norm Roberts. So first question to Norm Roberts should be, are you coaching tomorrow, or is Bill Self?
Yeah, probably.
So we will get to that coming up to start the 2 o'clock hour. Baylor now up 51-43. Baylor offensively better than the Gauchos, but will Baylor's defense step up and find a way to get it done?
That is the question.
So, but Kennesaw State and Xavier. Is it Xavier or is it Xavier? Do you say the X or do you not?
As a believer that the word is Xavier and it should never be said Xavier, I believe it should be Xavier.
You should be Xavier. So
that is how that word is pronounced for forever.
No, like, is that not? I don't want how you pronounce it.
I don't know what the official way to pronounce it is, so I'm giving you my pronunciation. That's my point. And if they say it's Xavier, they're wrong.
Well, no, they're not wrong. It's however you want to pronounce your name.
They're wrong.
No, that's not how it works.
School name versus a person's name, very different.
I don't care if I don't care who it is. It's however you want it to be pronounced.
If it's a human being, yes. If it's a school, no.
Fulton. That's not how it works.
That's how it works for me.
If you want to be called, something different, you can be. Block shot at the rim by Xavier. I don't know. I don't want to get upset Fulton here. What a play. That looked like it was going to be a wide open layup, Fulton. Like a wide open layup. And then all of a sudden,
Xavier learned to play defense.
Block shot.
Got fingertips on that ball.
That was a terrific block. I mean,
it was
excellent block. You could have called a blocking foul there. They decided to swallow the whistle. But how about that? Incredible. It is Norm Roberts speaking at the dais. What we'll do is we'll just record this since we got to get to a commercial break here in about a minute. And we'll get to Norm Roberts to see what he has to say coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll have a little bit of start bench cut as well. And this is going to be Fulton NCAA tournament edition.
Okay, so we must do tournament-related start bench cuts.
And it can be just NCAA. It can be history. It can be whatever you want to do. It can be anything and everything.
Okay.
However you want it to
You know what, Jake? I'm glad about that. I already have some great ideas in the chamber.
I mean, it could be individuals.
I got some fun ones in the chamber.
It can be individuals.
We're going to have a great segment.
It can be teams. It can be runs.
It's going to be just a great time.
It can be mascots, coaches. It can be anything.
It's going to be fun.
Anything. So we will get to that. But how about what an effort by Xavier, down by 13. And it looks like there's 2.6 seconds left.
Let's see if they can finish this up before we have to take a break for the top of the hour. I hope they do.
This is going to be
it's going to be close.
Let me ask you this. If they make the free throw, do you foul up 3?
Yes. I've changed my mind on fouling up 3.
I only foul up 3 if it's under 5 seconds and you've practiced it.
I would agree with that. And the math tells me, because I'm a nerd and a maths guy. Under 7 seconds, if you foul up 3, you drastically increase your win percentage. You should foul up 3. The math tells you yes.
Only if you practice it.
Agreed, which means you should practice it, which means teams should practice.
You don't practice stuff that you You have that's on the lower pecking order.
Well, I agree it's on the lower pecking order. I agree.
That's why, like I've asked Coach Ballard this before. I was like, hey, do you practice that? He goes, we got too much other stuff to practice. We can't worry about that.
Oh, it's completely fair.
You got to go that route.
No, I agree.
Kennesaw State calls a timeout. They're down by 3 with the ball, 2.6 left. Coming up, though, we're going to hear from head coach Norm Roberts. Final hour of Mic'd Up on this Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Hopefully you're rocking your green out there. Hopefully you're realizing that it's snowing right now while it is sunny. Congratulations, Juwan Taylor. You wanted something different. You're getting it here in Kansas City. He never has been outside of the state of Florida living, and now he's going to live in either Kansas or Missouri. I don't know where he's going to live.
I don't know which side of the border he's going to live on.
But
he'll pick one of it.
It's a unique one out right now.
Yeah, it is.
It really, really is. We will hear from Norm Roberts, who's speaking to the media, coming up at the bottom of the hour. Norm Roberts did give an update on Bill Self. He went the day-to-day approach. So
Fair.
Don't know if he will, don't know if he won't. I'm going to say he won't. That's my hunch. My hunch.
Your hunch was right yesterday.
My hunch has been correct.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to coach tomorrow. If you missed our interview with Curtis Wilkerson of hogsports.com about Arkansas, you can check us out on our YouTube page. You can go to our website, go to the podcast page. Great stuff there. Tough matchup between Arkansas and KU. They are long. They are athletic. They don't shoot the three. They get downhill. The positive about don't shoot it in the three. Normally, that's how you get got in the NCAA tournament is you don't you hit the three. If they're hitting the three,
heavily,
not great. Not great. So they rebound the heck out of it. They defend it pretty well. And so that is a big aspect of this one. They block shots. They rebound it. Arkansas is a good defensive team. This will be a fast-paced game. It's going to be up and down. It really, really will. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Go to youtube.com. Click on the subscribe button. Hit the like button. From the text line, it is pronounced like the basketball player. Blank McDaniel out of Wichita State, you know. But they didn't phonetically spell it.
Yeah, so we had to ask clarifying questions.
So I had to say, is it like X, like your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend? Or is it Zay?
Like Zay Flowers.
And they responded with Zay.
Ha.
I don't know what ha means.
I win. I was right.
No, there's no winning in this.
I was correct.
So it is Xavier, not Xavier. But if you want to be called Xavier, that's fine. That's what you want.
Any person can ask for a certain pronunciation of their name, and I will honor it.
Yeah.
Universities are different. I don't have to respect them as much as I respect people. I will always respect a person. Like, if you told me your name's spelled Jake, but you're like, it's JK, I'd say, okay, you're JK now. I'd respect that.
Okay.
I'd go, I think it should be Jake, but I would go, you know what? No, you're JK. I'd respect that.
Okay.
But if there's a university that was, JAKE, and they were like, we're JK University. No, you're Jake University unless you give me a good reason to call you JK University.
No, they're JK University if it says in their, like, Washburn's colors are white and Yale blue.
Yes.
Okay. So if in their university it says JK, they're JK. There's none of this, well, I'm not trusting the university. That's not how it works.
No, colors and universities are entirely different. Because colors got to be very specific. Yale blue is a specific thing.
No, if they want to be called Xavier and it says so on their website and by the president of the school, They are Xavier.
I'm calling them Xavier.
Then you I want to throw something at you right now. JK was funny.
Yeah, that's
funny.
my point.
That was funny.
It is much, and you know what? That's fair, Jake. It's more important though to respect what people want to be called.
I'm gonna
than universities.
No, if university, Mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. You know. It all goes back to Coming to America.
It always does.
It really, really does. All of our tournament coverage brought to you by our good friends at Lewis Toyota, I-470, and Fairlawn. The Baylor Bears stretching their legs. They are now up by 12 over UC Santa Barbara, 64-52.
As it should be. A Bear is beating a Gaucho.
St. Mary's is up by 1, 29-28 at the half in the 5-12 matchup. And Marquette taking on Vermont. Right now, Marquette up 23-18. Marquette's stud player, Kolek, the point guard, apparently hurt his hand.
That's not good.
So we'll have to wait and see the situation with... He's playing, but he is visibly grimacing, is what the reports are in the game. So those are the games going on right now. And then we've got Iowa State and Pittsburgh tipping off at 2:30. Let's get to K-State versus Montana State.
I want to say one quick thing on Iowa State Pitt real quick.
Okay.
It's a travesty Pitt's wearing black again. They're not wearing their cool blues and yellows. You know those really cool color scheme there with that little bright blue, that bright yellow? They're not wearing those today.
Those are the original old school Pitt colors.
Yeah, they're not wearing those today.
Not the Larry Fitzgerald, LaShawn McCoy Pitt colors.
Yes.
The dark blue.
Yes.
Correct.
So I just want to point the travesty to that is. They had to wear their road uniforms today being the lower seed, and they're not wearing their best uniforms. Travesty. I just wanted to point that before we moved on. I had to point that out. Let's continue.
I want to discuss Montana State versus Kansas State right now because you've had a 4 seed go down. You've had a 2 seed go down. Xavier got pushed all the way to the limit in this one. And I think the line has dropped down to 7.5 for Kansas State and Montana State. Here's the thing about this game to me is the over-under is 140. So they think that this game is going to be around a 80 to low 7, or beg your pardon, upper 70s, lower 60s type of game. Montana State doesn't do anything extremely well. They defend for a mid-major well, but they don't defend at a clip like Drake does. Drake's a mid-major, but Drake is they're a top 40-ish team, or at least the mid-major wise, an elite defensive team mid-major wise, right? Kennesaw State. We saw Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State offensively can go for a mid-major. They really can. Montana State, they hang their hat on defense. But if you hang your hat defensively, you're hanging your hat defensively against mid-majors. They haven't shut down everyone to the point where you go, it doesn't matter who they play. They will shut you and lock you down. They are not like that. When you look at the games this year for Montana State, all right, because I think this is going to come down to K-State's offense, because Montana State does not score it well. They don't. And they don't score it well against mid-major competition. But what does K-State's offense do? Montana State gave up 81 to Oregon, 77 to UNC Greensboro. They gave up, in the loss to Arizona, they gave up 85. So when they played big-time teams, they gave up points. K-State is a big-time team. That is why I think if K-State's offense can find a way to make it work, K-State will win this game, because I don't think the Bobcats can score it enough against Kansas State. Does that make any sense at all? Like, their offense is just against mediocre competition.
Yeah, the thought is they don't score it well enough against low competition. How would they perform better against higher competition? And then, like, I don't know if anyone noticed this. K-State has finished the regular season with a top 20 Ken Palm defense.
Yeah. They're playing better defense.
They're, and in part because they turn you over, which is just a great trait to have. So, and the other part I look at this with, I think Montana State can put up a fight to make this game closer than one would expect. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I think there's a chance because Montana State does. The biggest thing for Montana State is they can force turnovers, and K-State gets turnover bug. You know, that's where I think this game gets tight, is if K-State's having one of those nights where the turnover bug is their problem, and Montana State feasts off that a little bit. But if K-State can keep any level of their turnover issues in check, they should be fine, because in a defense for defense scenario, I trust K-State to really lock down Montana State, you know, with how well they've been playing this year. And secondly, look at when Montana State has played top tier competition. You know, I'm not saying K-State is Arizona or, you know.
I hope they ain't Arizona.
I hope they're not either, because Arizona lost to Princeton. You know, K-State's better than Oregon. K-State's in the tournament. Oregon isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Oregon beat Montana State's booty. Like, you know, when they faced high major competition, they got ran out the damn gym. You know, so that's what makes me think like there is a universe and a script that does lead Montana State to keeping this game close and to winning. Like, that script exists. It's just, will that script be played? And I feel like K-State, you know, hearing from Marquise Noel the other day, he knew the exact number of turnovers they've committed their last two games, which is 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like, immediately he was like, you know, Asbel is like, he's like, no, we've committed 40 turnovers the last two games. That's unacceptable. Like, they get it. These guys get that if they don't turn the ball over, they are such a good team. And I think the cognizance and the awareness of that, it's not as simple as just you're aware of your fault and therefore your fault is gone, because there's one thing to be aware of it. It's another thing to be able to fix it. I think K-State will be fine, because if Marquise Noel is playing with Marquise Noel, I do not know who Montana State has that's going to stop Keontae Johnson. Like,
that's the biggest issue here, because they've got the Brown cat, who's a 6'2" point guard, will guard Noel. You got defensive player of the year against a guy who's on the all defensive team.
Defense. Honestly,
great
second defensive player of the year guy, even though I know math probably change. Either way.
So you've got two defensive guys going up against
two great defensive players against each other.
Montana State has Bello, the big man, inside, who is a traditional back against the basket type of guy.
Which K-State has had trouble with those. So that's interesting.
They don't have the two guys that will determine this game are going to be Keontae Johnson, because they don't have anybody that big, that physical, because they're Montana State.
Yeah.
And then the X factor in this game is Naquan Tomlin. And the reason why is because they don't have 6'10" long arms who can shoot the three and then take it on the floor. Naquan Tomlin, when you look at what he has been able to do the better part of the last couple of games, Naquan Tomlin is my X factor for Kansas State. If he plays well, I really don't know how K-State loses this game. I will be surprised if K-State loses this game.
Yeah.
Just on sheer matchups. This isn't like Virginia, where you look at Virginia and they have a glaring way that they have short margins, and that is the way that they play. You look at Arizona. Arizona does not have great guard play. They don't. They've got phenomenal post play, but they don't have great guard play. All right. You look at Xavier. They can't play any defense. They turned on the defense late, which is why they ended up winning.
Yeah.
K-State plays defense. They don't have a glaring weakness except for turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But Sills and Noel, to me, are a better guard combo than what Xavier has, better guard combo than what Virginia has, better guard combo than what let's see, the team that Arizona.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like K-State, they should win. If they lose this game, to me, that one is, there's so much riding on this game.
There is.
So because if they win this game,
it's gravy.
It is house money time. You are right. It is house
you know
money
what?
time.
If you lose, because if you lose to Kentucky or to Providence, so be it. So be it.
It just the win kind of helps validate things.
It does.
You got a win,
because you're not going to be the only 3 that loses to a 6 or an 11. You're not. You wouldn't be.
And it just makes it. I don't even look at it kind of like that. I look at what K-State fans have gone through.
That's true.
Losing in the first round to LaSalle as a top seed after winning the conference.
Losing to UC Irvine
as a top seed, or a good seed after winning the tournament. That's Bruce Weber, and I understand that. But they're so excited right now because they're in the tournament, and the season is a success whether or not you win or lose it. But if you lose this one, then the success isn't as happy because you've lost 3 in a row. You didn't end the season well.
You get upset in the tournament.
That'd be 3 of the last 4 times they've been in the tournament. They've been upset. That's why
the one time they made a run in the tournament as of late, everyone points out, you got to face the 16. You got to face these low seeds. I agree. There's a lot riding on this for K-State in the terms of just what can you do to just kind of, finish this year off and validate everything you've done. And I'm with you on Naquan Tomlin. Listen, y'all have heard him in this station. I've been a fan of Naquan Tomlin all year. I love Naquan Tomlin's game because I think he gives K-State, if he can really, I'm not even 33% is a 3-point shooter. That's all I'm asking for. Become a valid threat out there. He is such a matchup nightmare because he's so skilled with the ball in his hands. He's 6'10", 6'11", wingspan like a pterodactyl.
Yeah.
And can it put the ball on the deck if he can just shoot? Because like we mentioned Bello for Montana State, traditional bat to the basket big. He might give Naquan Tomlin problems on the defensive end. That dude's got to go out and guard Naquan Tomlin. Have fun. Because it's such a matchup difference. And that's where, as long as K-State can just control their possessions and not get bit with the turnover bug, I really think they should be able to cruise to a win.
And if Kentucky wins and K-State wins, then the key to this game is not going to be Naquan Tomlin. It's going to be Desi Sills and Marquise Noel.
Yeah.
Because they have the guard advantage over Kentucky. What sounds crazy, but it is.
It's 100% true.
It really, really does.
It's 100% true.
Well, it looks like the Baylor Bear defense showed up. That is,
they turned it on, boys.
For certain. They end up winning it 74-56. They held the Gauchos to 20 points in the second half. If Baylor can defend at all,
they're so good.
They will go to the Elite Eight now that Arizona's out, because those 3 guards, looking at the box score here, guard play is so important in the NCAA tournament. Here are the guards for the Bears. Flagler, 7 of 10 from the field, 18 points.
Adam Flagler's so good.
Cryer, 6 of 13 from the field, 15 points. Keontae George ended up with 9 points in this game. Those are your 3 guards that they've got, and everything else that you get from the other is gravy. So Baylor, moving on, they will take on the winner of Creighton versus NC State. So that is the game.
Blue Jays and the Wolfpack.
That'll be coming up after. Current scores right now, we've got St. Mary's up 35-34 with 15 to play. Marquette starting to perhaps lengthen it. That's a high-scoring game, 33-25, 5 minutes to go in the first half. All of our tournament coverage brought to you by Lewis Toyota. Coming up next, we got an NCAA tournament edition of Start, Bench, or Cut. Cut. All right. I purposely made these difficult for you, Fulton.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
did you really?
Yes, I did. All
We'll
right.
see. We'll see if you did.
NCAA edition, Start, Bench, Cut. Ochai, Jalen Wilson, Devontae Graham. Start, Bench, Cut.
You're rude. You're a very rude man.
Okay.
You're a very, very, very rude man.
I know.
This is really hard.
I know. Let's go.
Let's go.
You got to go with your gut, man. You got to rattle them off real quick.
I disagree. Start Och, bench Devontae, cut Jalen.
Start Och. You're starting Och and not starting Graham.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get that I'm starting a guy who was not National Player of the Year over a guy who was National Player of the Year.
Who was National Player of the Year?
Devontae Graham.
He wasn't National Player
Big
of the
12
Year.
Player of the Year.
Yeah. Well, they both were. Oh, all three of them. That's why all three of them were
Yeah.
Big 12 Players of the Year. Devontae was, wasn't he?
Should have been. Because he followed Frank.
Yeah.
That's why I thought Devontae did win National Player of the Year. It was Frank and Devontae back to back.
No.
Or am I really conflating Big 12 Player of the Year that bad?
Yeah, he was Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah, I knew he was Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah. Because all of them are first team consensus All-Americans.
Yeah. No, I know. They're all amazing. Which is why I don't like you making me pick between my favorites.
Yeah.
You're asking me to pick my favorite children.
Yeah. See, now, I didn't put Frank in there because he
Thank
was
you.
player of the year
Yes.
in the country.
Man, I do not know. I really conflated that that bad. What happens?
2018.
Who was player of the year Devontae went off and was Big 12 player of the year?
Jalen Brunson. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is tracking now.
Yeah.
This is making more sense.
Yes. Jalen. Yeah, that was a runaway Jalen Brunson. Yeah.
This is now making a lot more sense.
Because they're going to be all consensus first team All-Americans.
Yeah.
All of them are Big 12 player of the year.
Yeah.
All of them are the best player of their senior year.
Yeah.
On the roster.
Yep.
So you're cutting Jalen Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, I am, and I don't feel
okay.
good about it because they're all great. But if you're forcing me to pick, Jalen's going to become my odd man out because I'm going to pick the best shooters out of the three, and O'Shea and Devontae are just that much better. But I'm sorry, Jalen. I'm
forget the guy
really
who led the Big 12 in rebounding. No big deal.
Don't see. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem.
What's yours? All right.
For me, we're going to do some underdog Cinderella runs here, Jake. 2022 St. Peter's. 2018 UMBC, 2021 Oral Roberts. I know UMBC didn't make a run, but they are 16-1. All those magical teams.
That one's so simple.
Oh, is it now?
Easy.
Okay.
Start St. Peter's. They made it to the Elite Eight as a 15.
Did.
Then
they did.
You go with UMBC over Virginia because that is a 16 to beat a 1. And if you want, I won't argue with you. You could put UMBC number 1 because it's never been done.
That's fair.
But a 15 never gone to the Elite Eight. So I'm going to go.
That's true too.
3 games more important than 1.
Okay.
And then I cut Oral Roberts because Oral Roberts is just like any other. They're just like FGCU. They're just like all of them. So Oral Roberts, Schmoral Roberts.
Okay.
They're that's an easy cut. Easy cut.
Interesting.
Yeah, easy cut.
Interesting.
Which one did you put?
No, that's probably how I would make out the list.
Alrighty. Start bench cut.
Okay.
John Wooden. Coach K. Bill Self.
Start Self, bench Wooden, cut K. I am a noted Coach K hater.
And what's your reasoning?
For I don't like Coach K?
No, just
my reasoning alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Self and Woods is legit a tough one. Those are 2 of the greatest coaches of all time. Self has similar accolades to Wooden, and he's done it in the more modern era of basketball which could be considered tougher. Like
that's why
Self won as many. I think it ended up being more consecutive conference championships than Wooden did. And Self did it in a tougher conference than the Pac-12 at that time.
Okay.
Like the Pac-12 in the 70s was like, please, none of you old heads get mad at me. The Pac-12 in the 70s was good. What Bill did in 2000's Big 12 is infinitely better.
Okay. Which, if you're going to go with the current game, is tougher because it's 64 teams and all that.
Yeah.
I can at least understand that. So then what is your argument Self over K?
So,
and if your argument is I just don't like K, then so be it, because you can't do that with K.
No, so here's my thing. Yes, I don't like Coach K. That's not the entire reason. You're like, I get it. Coach K has some national title. He does.
So he's got 5.
But
he's got 5. That's literally more than double than Self has.
Yes, I understand.
So
that.
it's not some.
No, and I give him credit. The national titles are great and they are important. One, as a Kansas guy, I'm always going to appreciate what Bill Self has done. 2, the Big 12 has consistently been tougher than the ACC to win in. Like, there have been plenty of years where there's the top, like the ACC usually is very top heavy. This year was historically bad for that conference. Top to bottom, the Big 12 is always consistently better than the ACCs, which to me makes it a tougher conference to win. Then you go to the postseason. Yes, Coach K has 5 national titles. That's awesome. Coach K has more big upset losses than Bill Self does.
How?
Coach K lost to a 14 twice. Lost actually to a 14 and a 15.
Well, KU lost to Bucknell and Bradley, so it's the same thing.
Were they 14s and 15s?
Same situation to me.
I'm putting Self over K.
All right. I think the argument is not Self and K and the reason I put K in there, because if you put Roy in there, then I would understand the argument Self over Roy.
Yeah.
Because Roy's got 3 titles, Self's got 2, Self has much more success in the regular season when it comes to the conference titles. I understand that. To me, I don't know how you can put Self over K. I really don't, because K's been to the most Final Fours and he's got 5 national titles. Self right now it's not even a question.
Yeah.
Like if I put Jay Wright in there, to me, Self and Jay Wright are the exact same. Like those two are even, and I would lean Self because of regular season titles. That's why I didn't put Roy or Jay Wright there. I wanted the two guys who have by far the most titles, and then Self, who I think is the best coach right now, and it's not even. That's why we're making so much of whether or not Bill Self's going to coach in a game. But I would go with, I'd start K, bench Wooden, and then I would cut Self, and that's not. I think when it's all said and done, now the I don't know what's going to happen now with Bill Self, because I don't know what this situation with his heart is going to end up happening.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. But I think right now, if Self coaches for another 10 years and wins another title, let's say he does, right?
Yeah.
He basically wins a title once every, 10 years.
Yeah.
I think those three will be the 3 greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Wooden, I think it'll be K, and I think it'll be Bill Self. If Bill Self gets one more title, I think Self will supplant himself over Jim Calhoun, over Roy Williams, over I'm trying to think of the other guys who have 3 national titles, over Adolph Rupp, and I think it becomes a Self, K, Wooden. I think those are going to be the 3 greatest coaches of all time if Self gets one more title.
And that's fair.
I think that's a fun one though, because it's harder to win now in a 64 team than it was when John Wooden was there.
Incredibly much harder.
Yeah, it was.
No, incredibly so. I agree with you.
What do you got for me?
Oh, we needed to get to Norm.
We're going to get a timeout. We do. We need to get to Norm.
Not to ruin any more fun. I thought we needed to get to Norm and we're running out of time to get to Norm.
We need to get to Norm. So we are going to take a timeout. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Norm. update. Iowa State, the game has started. Earth to Iowa State. Pittsburgh is now leading 7-1. And this is the biggest game that I would worry about if I'm the Big 12. Baylor took care of business. They won by 20. Their offense really clicked, and they played much better defense in the second half. I think TCU is going to hammer Arizona State. I like K-State to win. I don't know if they'll cover the 7.5, but I like K-State to win. But oh boy, Iowa State right now, a little shell-shocked early on. Right now, though, we're going to hear from Norm Roberts from Des Moines. What did Norm have to say?
Hey, Norm. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. How you doing? I guess, well, what's this been like for you the last few games, filling in for Coach Self? How's he doing, and do you expect to be leading the team again tomorrow? Kind of what's the update on that?
Well, Coach is doing well. It's a day-to-day situation with him and everything, but he's doing good. He was in practice with our guys just a little while ago and coaching them, so we'll see what happens.
Stay on this side right behind him. Okay. Up front here, we got Eric on the corner.
Yeah, Eric Olson with the Associated Press. Norm, just one other question on Bill. How could you kind of walk us through just the communication process that you guys go through with him and the players, and also how often you meet with him while you're here in Des Moines, going over stuff, and just kind of what the nuts and bolts of that are?
Well, it's the same that we always do. You know, we have scout and report. We meet probably 2 times a night and go over different scenarios and what we want to do and how he wants us to play, both offensively and defensively. And so we haven't had any extra meetings in those things. And as a staff, we always collaborate and work together, and everybody has input on what we think would be the best situation for us.
Hi, Norm. David Lawrence, Jayhawk Radio. Can you talk about the comparison with any Big 12 team that you see in Arkansas?
That's tough. I don't think anybody in the country has as many athletes as Arkansas has. We've had different teams in our league that are pretty athletic. Baylor's athletic, but they're not as tall, long. West Virginia's athletic, but they're really long, but they're not as fast. So we played against a combination of those things. Probably the closest one would be Texas. Texas probably has as many athletes and length that's similar to Arkansas.
With DeJuan and Kevin, 2 of the best defenders around, just talk about, taking them to the fight against these great athletes.
Well, it's going to be important that we play team defense. It can't just be one guy because they're very good at putting it on the bounce and attacking the basket. So we've got to be in gaps. We got to help each other. We've got to communicate quite a bit. And then once the shot is taken, more importantly, we got to go rebound it. They do a great job of crashing the glass. And so we've got to do a good job in rotation rebounding.
Hey, Coach, Scott Reese, KCTV5. I have a follow-up as well. I'm sure you've poured over a season's worth of Arkansas tape at this point. I'm just curious, they looked like a Final Four team back in Maui in December, and then they kind of hit the skids late in the season. Did you notice anything that was different about them the last third of the season, maybe that they weren't doing that they did do early on?
No, not that. I know Nick Smith was out with an injury, and they've dealt with other injuries just like everybody in the country has. And they play in a great league in the SEC. So, everybody's going to have ups and downs in their league. We did too. So they're playing very good basketball right now. And I know they're extremely competitive teams. So we're going to have to be very, very focused and competitive and aggressive throughout the whole game.
And maybe just a word from a viewer standpoint at what a treat this game is going to be with, as you allude to, all the NBA talent that's going to be on the floor on both sides.
Oh yeah. It'll be up and down. It'll be an up and down game, and they're always in attack mode. We want to be in that same mode throughout the game. It's going to come down to getting stops. It's going to come down to defense and rebounding the basketball.
Stay on the same side. Go ahead, sir.
Adam Kilgore with the Washington Post. During the games, are you making decisions like your own way, how you usually coach a game, or are you at all trying to like mimic and think like Bill Self when you're out there? Like, what's the balance there if there is one?
Well, if you say mimic and think like we've been together for almost 25 years, so we probably do finish each other's sentences in basketball terms. But no, I do try to think of what he would want to do. If it's a situation of getting the ball inside, if it's a situation of having the ball screen, those things talk about a lot before the game even begins on how we want to attack, what we want to do, how we want to play the game. So I just revisit that in my head and then coach that way.
Okay, we're going to switch sides. Go ahead, sir. Coach Chris Lazzarino with Kansas Alumni. Ask you a question about Jalen, if I might. Perhaps off the court, how much, you have so many years as an educator and a coach and helping young men grow up. He seems, from our perspective, has grown up, matured as much as anybody we've seen maybe in years. Could you just talk about his development as a young man away from the game?
Yeah, he's tremendous. He has been one of the best leaders we've ever had, and one of the most competitive kids we've ever had. And everybody knows Jalen went through a situation, but I've never seen a kid handle a situation like he did and take full accountability. We talk about when that situation happened, usually a kid addresses the team and says, "I'm sorry." He didn't do that. He addressed the team for 10 to 15 minutes saying, "I'm taking total responsibility. I screwed up here. This shouldn't happen. I'm not going to be a distraction to the team." I mean, he went through a whole thing on his own, and he really took accountability, and he's grown up so much. He cares so much about Kansas. He cares so much about his teammates, and that's reflective every day when he comes to practice and when he's around.
Remote corner over here.
Abby Dodge, KSHB 41. You compared Arkansas to Texas in your last appearance. You did not come up with the win. Does that worry you at all for tomorrow's game?
Well, Arkansas is quick and athletic, just like Texas, and we played against that all year. So we know what we need to do. We know we need to be keyed up. We know that we need to be very active in what we do. And, the main thing for us is we can't let people get comfortable. We let them, when you let somebody gets comfortable, they're going to play very well. So we have to make them uncomfortable, and there's ways that we can do that. And then we've got to be able to get out and transition and get easy looks for ourselves.
Switch sides on the aisle.
Coach John Neighbors, 103.7 The Buzz. I know you talk a lot about Arkansas's team, but just as coach to coach, Eric Musselman, just what's your impression of him, his style, philosophy, just his overall approach to the game?
Coach Muss is terrific. He's done a great job at Arkansas. He's an attack mode guy. Everybody knows that. He's a very passionate guy. Obviously, his family history and coaching and those things. So he's done a fabulous job at Arkansas.
Norm, Bob Holt again from the Arkansas Democrat. I had a two-parter, if that's okay. First off, obviously you guys are number one seed for a reason, just like all the others. And the number one seeds win most of the time, but they don't always win. How do you see a 1-8 matchup against a team, like you said, that's as athletic as in the country? How dangerous a team do you see Arkansas as being?
I think when you get in the NCAA tournament, everybody's dangerous. Every team is really good. Howard gave us all they could early on in the game, and then we were able to get some breathing room from them, but they're a very good basketball team. I said this yesterday, you're playing against champions. You're playing against guys that had really, really good seasons that know how to win. And, Arkansas is a team that comes from a great conference, the SEC. They know how to play in big games. They know what it is like to win big. So we knew the 8-9 game, be it Arkansas or Illinois, was going to be a tough battle. And you have to beat tough teams, and you're going to have tough games in order to win a national championship. And we knew that last year when we did it. Creighton was a bear of a game for us last year, and this year will be the same. So you just got to go out and execute.
That is what Norm Roberts had to say to the media today. Iowa State has not started playing yet. That's a problem because there is only 14 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, it's not great.
Iowa State is down 16-2 to Pitt.
Not great.
And honestly, we're going to find out the fight now in Iowa State because they are doing everything wrong. This was the game that I was not confident in for Iowa State because they were just so inconsistent away from Hilton.
Yeah, when they weren't in Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at it, and I just, this is where I thought, maybe they could. Their last 3 games were not at Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
They smacked Baylor down in Waco, and I mean beat the crap out of them down in Waco.
Correct.
Then they beat them up in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then they hung with KU in Kansas City. Which, I mean, granted, Kansas City is very similar to Hilton in the idea of there's a lot of Iowa State fans that travel there. So that's, semi-home in kind of a way. But, like, I don't know. I would say I have Pitt winning this game. I picked Pitt to win this game, in the brackets. But I don't know. Iowa State, it's truly ever since the Caleb Girl stuff, and they've kind of rallied around that a little bit to finish strong. But we're going to see it now. Can they rally? You are down 16-2. Everything is going wrong for you. Can you fight through that? Because, I mean, with how good Iowa State's defense is, if they can clamp down defensively and go on a little bit of run, they can get back from a 14-point hole.
The way that they're playing right now is the way Arizona played it. They are panicking right now. Iowa State is in full-blown, like this terrible hook shot that I don't even know who the heck just shot that. And then he just shoved a Pitt guy in the back. Easy offensive foul.
Yeah, they need to get their heads together.
They are. The fact that TJ Otzelberger hasn't used a timeout yet,
that's a problem. He needs to call one by now. You need to settle the boys down.
They are in full-fledged, oh my God, what is happening to us right now mode. Can we get it all back in one shot?
Yeah. This is
not
where,
NBA Jam where there's a hot spot where you can make an 8-pointer.
This is the situation to where you need to call a timeout and just settle the guys of like, hey, it's not a 14-point play in the playbook.
No.
Lock in defensively. Do your assignment. There is a metric ton amount of ball left. Like, it is not even close to being over. And your benefit is Pitt's defense is not that great, and they showed in their first 4 game that offense is streaky. Like, if Iowa State just locks in defensively, they will slowly creep back into this game. But it comes down to they got to settle in mentally.
I don't think, like right now, it looks like they are totally shook. It is 18-2, and they just let an easy inbounds play for an easy layup.
See what they do.
I am
the reverse happened to Maryland yesterday.
They haven't even made a field goal yet. Their 2 points are from the free throw line. And another just absolutely forced shot, and like Iowa State is unraveling with still 25 minutes of basketball left to go in this game. Incredible. Coming up next, we'll finish things off with the mic drop. Iowa State is now down 21-2.
Not going great for the Cyclones. Not going great.
Oh, man. If there was one team that you were like, man, if the Big 12 does lose, I'm okay with Iowa State.
It's Iowa State.
Like when West Virginia lost, I was mad. If Iowa State loses, I'm like,
it's kind of funny.
It's okay.
It's great.
That's okay. What do you got?
Very simple. I hope KU beats Arkansas tomorrow. I would like to be able to come on to this show on Monday and talk about my alma mater going to the Sweet 16. I hope so. I don't know if it'll happen, though.
I want K-State to win.
So do I.
Want them to win. It'll be a lot of fun over the weekend if they take on.
I would like both these teams make the Sweet 16. That's what I'd like. K-State and KU in Sweet 16. Let's manifest it.
Yep. Coming up next, 580 Sports Talk from Des Moines, and then we'll talk to you on Monday, recapping a fun weekend of hoops. Have yourselves a great weekend.